It promised to be a titanic electoral battle, and the outcome of the 2022 governorship election in Osun State, southwest Nigeria, turned out to be so. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Ademola Adeleke, as winner of the election. The INEC chief returning officer for the election, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, announced that the PDP candidates scored 403,371 votes to beat the incumbent governor. Gboyega Oyetola of the All Progressives Congress polled 375,027 votes. The PDP candidates also won in 17 local government areas, while the APC emerged winner in 13. Many observers described the election as peaceful but characterized by vote buying. Meanwhile, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, says its operatives on election monitoring duty arrested 3 persons suspected of vote buying during the election. Let's have some highlights of the election.
Process so far so good. At least in these two polling units, the AUD and the Methodist, is quite peaceful, very orderly. INEC officials are conducting it, and the process is very peaceful, and they are making progress.
INEC has performed very well, because when they were trying to use my fingerprint, it didn't work, and they used my face, bam, and it worked. So that means that they have really improved. Well, the feelings I'm getting that everywhere is calm for now, and I hope it will stay like that.
Let me commend INEC for doing a very wonderful job. I really commend the security agencies for deploying sufficient number of people to ensure safety of the voters. Yes, the process was very smooth, but I realized that because of the massive turnout of voters, by polling particularly, the number of machines may not be sufficient. So I want to appeal to INEC to increase the beavers, because there's a time frame within which they have to vote.
The election was contested. The candidate received the following votes: Akinade Akanmu Ogunbiyi, A Party, 4515. Awojide Peter Segun, Awojide Peter Segun, AAC, 2148. Kehinde Nurudeen Olumuyiwa Atoda, ADP, 10104. Adegboyega Isiaka Oyetola, APC, 375027. 375027. Awoyemi Oluwatayo Lukman, APN 1222. Adebayo Adeolu Elisha, APP 0601. Adeleke Adesoji Masilo Aderemi Adedapo, PP 374. Yusuf Sulaiman Lasun, LP 2729. Basak Oyelami Saliu, NNPP 393. Abede Adetono Samuel, NRM 777. Adeleke Ademola Jackson Nuruddin, PDP 403371. Ayowole Olubusuyi Adedeji, PRP 1007. Omigodun Oyegoke Akinrinola, SDP 515. Ademola Bayonle Adeseye, YPD 1303. Adesuyi John Olufemi, DLP 364. I declare that Adeleke Ademola Jackson Nuruddin, on behalf of the chairman of INEC of PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared a winner, and he is returned elected. Thank you very much. God bless us all.
We want to thank the Almighty God for restoring the glory of our state and for counting the PDP worthy once again to be given the mandate to govern this blessed state. We thank God Almighty and we thank the good people of Osun State.
All right, gentlemen, interesting turnout of events there in Osun State. Senator Ademola Adeleke has been declared governor-elect of Osun State. I'd like to know what could have prompted Osun voters to vote differently this time, unlike 2018. Thank you.
It's difficult to say that they voted differently this time. Maybe the question should have been, what could have made the Osun people to give Adeleke a decisive victory this time? You know, he won in 2018 on the first ballot, and then there was a rerun, which he then lost by a little over 400 votes, which was quite close. So you can sense that the support base had always been there. Because if the support base was not there, we couldn't have won on the first ballot, and APC was able to force a rerun, which they then won. So the support base has always been there. Ede, we expected massive turnout from Ede, but what they did better this time was to defeat the APC in Osogbo and Olonda. These are areas where the APC had not previously lost elections. When you lose in Osogbo and Olonda, it's going to be very difficult for you to win the election, because those are the most densely populated areas and the heart of the state capital. Look at Alekuodo, for example. A ward in Osogbo is bigger than some local governments. I was there, I saw the road that the governor built across that whole area, very big area, densely populated in the heart of Osogbo city. And for APC to have lost, in fact, by a huge margin in that area, the message was clear that it would be impossible for them to catch up. Added to the quantum of votes from Ede. So you see that the biggest voting blocks, APC lost in the biggest voting blocks. There was no way that the votes from Ile-Ife alone would have altered the entire the complexion of the voting, because you then need to play catch up, and that catch up was a mountain to climb for the party. In my view, the areas dominated by civil servants, there are some wards in Osogbo town dominated by civil servants, pensioners, retirees. APC lost in all of those areas, and also lost the government house polling booth. That is to tell you that the civil servants, a critical voting bloc in any election, whether it's Osun or Lagos or anywhere, they didn't vote for the governor, or only a few of them voted for the governor. I've asked people why this was so, because the governor never missed paying their salary for one day, and he was paying them their salaries in full. But I was told that the civil servants wanted the arrears being owed before the governor got into office to be paid. There were also arrears of pension, huge, amounting to billions of naira. But for an administration already saddled with so much debt, there are occasions when Osun will receive zero allocation from the federation account, because if the allocation, if the distributable revenue being shared in a particular month comes very low, with the irrevocable standing order in place, you may get little or nothing. Maybe you may not even get anything. So, but the governor made sure that he never owed any salary, and he did not get new loans. What is happening these days is that more and more governors are just taking loans up and down. I've said repeatedly that there are implications for taking loans in an unrestrained manner, the way governors are taking it. It means that the administrations that will come after you will commit so much to servicing the debt, and they won't have enough to take care of welfare of workers. They won't have enough even for infrastructure. There was a governor who wanted to focus even a lot of the little that is left to deliver infrastructure. But to the worker is thinking, look, instead of building that bridge, I'm being owed some money. Why don't you pay back? Many people have, it's the same problem that the governor of Benue has. The governor of Benue inherited huge liabilities by way of paid salaries. When the recession came in 2017, it became difficult to pay. But from 2018, he has been paying salaries. But people are saying, oh, the arrears. You mean like, what people are saying is you can't leave those arrears unpaid and simply focus on paying from 2018, paying regularly from 2018, and expect that we'll pat you on the back. So we've seen this election has taught us that, look, you must find the balance between delivering infrastructure development and welfare, taking care of welfare of workers. It has also taught us that whatever is happening on the national scene can also have a negative impact on voting at state level. Because I've
come
seen
to
people who
that.
said, look, if we were to simply vote for this man, he tried his best, given the resources at his disposal. But there's hunger in the land, there's insecurity across board. We don't think that we should vote for the APC. So this is all kinds of issues played up. But then, this is politics. It's not. I remember the US president, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton created 13 million jobs after he promised Americans that he would create 10. What did we see? Americans didn't allow his deputy, Al Gore, to succeed him. They went for George W. Bush. And what did we see? It was George W. Bush that eventually plunged America into recession.
Let me look at it from this point of view.
Okay.
You see, Osun State is what the American calls in American politics a swing state. It's not so. There is both APC and PDP are just almost at par. Depending on some demographics or happenings, will tilt towards the other person. Secondly, in this election, PDP was able to win because the governor was able to get massive vote for Boripe, which is his own area. Senator Ademola Adeleke was able to get a lot of votes from Ede that countered that. So the game changer was the vote in Osogbo and all of that. And why was that so? The problem has to do with the infighting that happened in APC. In APC, there were two factions, the governor's faction and the Minister of Interior, Adegbosola's faction. And both of them fought to death. If you remember, there was a video that went viral where the officials of Adegbosola's faction of APC did a video where they sang Isiaka Olo, Walaye Afibole, that the governor is going to leave. We're going to send him out with votes. And what that implied, they didn't hide the fact that they were not going to allow the governor to have second term. So, though the governor stayed in APC, yes, he won his vote, but you could see that one, he never got involved in the campaign, he never voted. When the election was going on, he went to America. This is somebody who is a minister. He was appointed a minister based on the fact that he was representing Osun State. Something as important as the governorship of that state, he abandoned it because of the differences between them. They have made up, that faction have made up their mind that they're not going to allow the governor to have a second term. So the structure, the Adegboshola structure, moved into PDP and worked for PDP. If you notice, in the last 3 elections...
Can we confirm that?
In the last 3 elections...
No, they didn't do it openly.
Oh, they didn't do it openly, but that's what... Because in the last election, in the last 3 elections, APC have not lost Osogbo because Osogbo was the stronghold of Adegboshola as a politician. In fact, that is where he used to get his biggest votes in the 2 times that he was governor. So it's not rocket science that if his structure joins with PDP, it will be a game changer. And that is why if you look at the votes in Osogbo, the difference was massive, 8,000 votes. 8,000 votes. So, you know, history has a way of repeating itself. The same thing happened in Lagos during the Sarumi and Agbala Jobi. The same thing, there were 2 factions within a party, fought themselves to the death. The Sarumi faction was recognized eventually, and the Agbala Jobi faction said, okay, fine. It's the Sarumi faction that said we're going to do it. Our supporters vote for $10. So I think that is the same thing that has happened in Osun. That was the game changer, why this government was like that. Because it's not as if we didn't perform. Yes, but it is because in that area that was the game changer, especially Osogbo and along that were strongholds. Where if you notice that even in Elisha, later it's where Adegbes own something, PDP won there. And then another thing that you are going to look at again is that there are some areas that are loyal to parties. For example, in Ife, PDP won Ife North. Prior to that time, Omushori have always been delivering Ife when he was in PDP. But now that he moved to APC, They were able to win Ife Central, but they could not win Ife North because the people of Ife North traditionally has always been voting conservative. So a lot of things work against the governor, despite the efforts that he paid salaries, he did well, you understand. But it's just that there was no way you could win that election because the forces against him were just too many.
All right, sad realities there. Gentlemen, let's look at INEC. INEC got a pass mark in this election. And we also heard Senator Adeleke saying there that this was a peaceful election. Are we on the way to a credible election in 2023?
I think so. And I think the game changer was the beavers that was introduced. You know, because part of the problem that we have in our election is that, you know, they will say, okay, if you're going to use this machine, if it doesn't work, then you use manual, which is easier to manipulate. But when accreditation is key, and if you cannot get it with your thumbprint, face recognition will be used. That will reduce considerably how you can rig. It reduces it because it means that the person that is voting must be accredited. But if you do it manually, it could be manipulated to say, okay, these people, let them come and vote. You understand? Maybe they move them from another place and they say, okay, when they are not even resident in that area. But the new technology that INEC has introduced reduced that considerably. So it means that as we move forward, our elections will get better and more credible.
Okay.
Yeah, I expect the INEC to improve consistently from now on. But this is an off-cycle election. Off-cycle elections have the tendency of being properly managed more than general elections. So I don't want to assume that everything will go fine in the general election. I still expect that some of the INEC guidelines will be bypassed when we get to the national election. One thing that we've seen is all these off-season elections, apart from Kogi, all of them have happened. The major off-season elections, the ones involving governorship, all of them have happened in the south. Apart from Kogi in I think 2019 December or so, or 2020. All of them have happened in the south. The voting culture and the level of attendance in the north is different to what we see in the south. People waiting endlessly for beavers to function. People coping with insufficient beavers and just standing there for so long. Our friends in the north, are they going to be that patient? Are we going to see the beavers bypassed? Are we going to see it bypassed? No one can say until we get to that bridge. But that is what we really want to see. Going back to the conduct of the election, I think that the Adelekes have shown that there are no pushovers. And Babakode lost in 2003. On that occasion too, we saw similar voting pattern from the other area. So invariably, Adeleke got into the APC. But later on, we've seen his brother contest on the platform of the PDP. And every time that happens, it's always difficult to defeat them. Yes, it makes no sense for parties to have crises and not find a way to resolve their crisis. But even in the best of times, when Ademola was in office, he couldn't stop Adeleke from defeating Oyetola on the first ballot. Even the off-season election that happened before then, they lost. They lost to the PDP, which was a way of telling them at that time that, look, this is a party that will not be easy to defeat. If anyone thinks that the hunger in the land, 18.6% inflation rate, 42% unemployment rate among the young people will now affect elections held in states, then that person is deceiving himself. The APC has a lot to do at national level to give confidence to our people. Otherwise, what we saw in Osun will happen elsewhere, because I can tell you that many people didn't look at what the governor had done. They were saying it's the party, it's the party, it's the party. And when we tell, I've said here on many occasions that even if the president builds houses in the sky for people, builds infrastructure in the sky, as long as there is rampant insecurity, people won't feel comfortable. Absolutely. People will be worried. They will think that something is wrong. You can imagine if you increase fuel price today, if you do an election afterwards, it's going to have an impact, massive impact. Massive. The people will show their anger through their votes. They won't be bothered whether a governor has done well or not. So that is why they've got to manage what is going on very well. At the national level, try to take steps that will calm people down, restore hope. Otherwise, I've had people say, Kwara is another place. I've had people say that. And when people are thinking like this, they are not going to look at what you've done. They just think that something is wrong with the party. So there's a lot that the party needs to do. And the candidates, their message has to be that, look, I'm a new broom, I offer something different. If you try too much to campaign on the strength of our parties, it's not going to be funny.
Thank you very much.
I agree that it won't work, because we cannot deny the fact that things are very bad in the country. And a lot of things accounted for it. This government have done well in terms of infrastructure. But when you look at the security, it's surprising that the president is a retired general. It has never been this bad in this country. When you now add that to the economic situation and the kind of hunger that is in the land, why do you think people will now want to give you another round of... Because it's not even as bad as this. When people said Jonathan, anything but Jonathan.
Yes.
It was not this bad.
It wasn't this bad.
Yes, but people just felt, look, anything but Jonathan.
Local rices. A friend of mine in Sokoto told me that a bag of local rice is 32,000. And this local rice was supposed to be alternative to the imported.
To the foreign.
And the imported, at a point, was just 7,000. And Nigerians were tired.
Yeah.
So if you do not find a way, maybe some of these, they are social developments.
Because the money is just being given to, it's just like a drop in the ocean. It doesn't give to. But you see, my biggest please, let me just say this. My biggest takeaway. Yes, my biggest takeaway from this Osun election is the fact that the candidate of Labour Party scored just 2,000 votes. When the winner scored over 400 votes, the governor scored almost 400 votes. The candidate of Labour Party scored 2,000 votes. That's why the fact that Obi went to
no, they don't have structures there.
So that's what I'm saying.
They didn't even have agents.
Agents, yeah. So it shows
more
that
than 80%
it shows that the so-called Obi movement that we are hearing may be a wash.
All right, gentlemen.